Call this regular board meeting to order for St. John Hudson USD 350. Welcome to all the visitors that will be here. Be with us this evening. Is there any additions or changes to the agenda?
Mr. President, we'd like to add an executive session following the first agenda item. That would be for anyone in the public wishing to address a personnel issue.
Anyone? I entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Mr. President, I move to approve the agenda with the addition of the executive session.
Second.
Been moved and second to approve it. Any further discussion? All in favor, right hand. 6-0. Consent agenda, the minutes from the last meeting, as well as the financial statements and warrants for your places this evening. Your hold.
I move we approve the consent agenda.
Been moved and second to approve the consent agenda.
Excuse me, Mr. Stern, who seconded?
Bill.
Bill.
Thank you.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, right hand. Opposed, same sign, 6-0. Right, yeah. If there's any patron comments that are not related to personnel, they entertain, you can speak. Now's your chance. Business items, or our first item of business then is irrigation system proposals.
Mr. President, one of the items that we had on our capital outlay proposals, kind of our planning list that we looked at in January, was to put in in-ground irrigation at the main football field and also on the practice field. One of the thoughts we had on that was the idea of maybe possibly doing it with some volunteer labor if possible. But we had a couple of parents who agreed to step forward. They did most of the legwork, and I'm going to let Todd Wyckoff kind of introduce. I'm not exactly sure, Todd, who all you had helping you, but I'll let you kind of, Todd kind of spearheaded this, I think, and so I'll let him introduce who all may have helped him, and then you can talk about the proposals that you do have at your place and the desktop. Thank you, Todd.
How do we do this? Do I just
Stand
stand
up,
wherever I
start
want?
talking. Yeah.
Me and Carl spent a lot of time, not a lot of time, it was basically me and Bear, talked amongst ourselves and with Mr. Kenworthy, and we got, come up with the idea that we wanted to get a sprinkler system for the practice field and football field. We wanted it to be a self-draining system, where in the winter you didn't have to blow it out. All the bids have a control panel. And do you guys have a copy of the bids? Do we need to go through them? I guess you guys have the dollar amounts. On the Uni's landscape bid, they're going to run a trunk line up one side of the field, and then they're going to vibrate in lines from each end zone out to the center of the field. I asked them on Davis Plumbing and then Davis Spares bid. They are going to bore underneath the track over to where the well's at now, because they need to put a control, shut off, on and off. Unis did not have that figured into their bid, so he did say that their bid would be a little higher, bigger than that. David Spares bid he and Uni's Landscaping did Fairfield and Skylines football fields. Carl went and looked at the Fairfield football field and talked to their, was it the maintenance, and they seem to be real happy with what they have over there. David Spares did the football field at Larned, and their field looks really good. On David Spares' field, one of the or in his system, he wants to go all the way around the inside of the track with like a big loop, a 2-inch loop, and then you would come in from the end zones, you know, the length of the field. And I asked him, you know, what the reason of that was. He said he thought he'd have better water pressure and flow instead of just running one trunk line up the side. Uni's bid and David Spares' bid both use Hunter rotator, gear drive rotator heads. Davis Electrical, they're going to run a trunk line at one side, and then instead of coming in from the end zones, about every 10 yards, they'll run a zone across the field. And they're going to use their Rainbird heads. I asked Unis to bring me a Hunter head, and they didn't get it to me. But these are the size heads that they'll use. That will be all that's exposed, and will basically be put an inch below the ground. And then you'll have the sod on top of that. So there's really not much area, you know, for contact. If you guys want to look at that. On this anything, Carl?
Doing fine.
But I mean, on the Hunter heads, they use a 5-year warranty. On the Rainbird heads, they have a 1-year warranty. Kevin said that he's had, you know, people bring in the heads, and he's returned them, you know, 3 or 4 years old, and they just replace them. Unis are local; they can do, you know, service on the system. Davis is local; he can do service on the system, and David Spares out of Larned, so he's very close and can do service on the system. Do you guys have any questions?
This is for the entire area inside the track and the entire practice field?
Yeah, everything on the inside of the track would be watered, and at the practice field, it'd be everything on the inside of the fence.
Carl, I'm having the same number of heads.
The Hunter heads seem to have fewer heads. I think on Davis heads there, they have 70, let's see, 70, no, they have 82 heads. And on the Hunters, they have 38 heads. And all those heads, the Rainbird and the Hunter are gear drive head. Some of the older heads, it actually took the water pressure to make it spin. This is your water pressure, and flow varies up and down. It'll keep rotating. It might go up or down. And we've tested the flow at the field, and we gave them all those figures. There was a big dead spot in the center of the field, and me and Carl went up and staked it off. Carl went up and sprayed it Roundup, reseeded grass back in the dead spot. And then they've been watering it with the water cannon. And, but I feel, you know, our practice field, and our football field, and the grass around the building is kind of, you know, first impression that people see of our facilities and our school. And I mean, I think the last couple of years it's looked pretty bad. And I mean, I think this is the first step on, you know, getting something done. I know you guys use pro grading. I think Carl had another guy.
Well, I got a guy that does out here at the lodge, and as far as like a maintenance program, that's a 5-application program, and it's just so much an application. But March, May, June, July, and November on a fertilizer and herbicide application. And where you got wear and tear, whether it's on the practice or the football field up north, you got to maintain it, and with fertility and herbicides, or it won't stay. And I think that's what we've seen.
On Uni's bid, you guys will see that they put in, he figured sales tax, which you guys don't pay sales tax, so that actually needs to come off. And I did ask all three bids to submit a diagram of the way they'd run their sprinkler system, and Davis's were the only ones that actually sent one out. All three people, you know, I told them that we might want to have some community involvement. They all agreed that, like when they're doing the trenching and then the backfilling and stuff like that, you know, if people from the community want to come and help, they'll basically keep track of the hours that people put into it, and they'll deduct that off the bill. And all three of them basically said the same thing. But as far as actually gluing pipe together and setting the sprinkler depth, they said they kind of wanted to do that themselves.
If they're gonna warranty it, they want to glue it.
Yeah, yeah,
It's probably wise.
yeah.
And
Did you,
Stan, I'm gonna let you assume the duties of the chair. I'm gonna step out of the room. I have conflict with the next chair.
What, you done, raise private money?
Yeah, I talked to a few school board members of Dr. Kenworthy, and they said, you know, it would probably make things easier if we got some public participation. Right now, we have pledges for $6,500, so I think that would be pretty close to the 30% of what it would cost to do this.
That is that the number we use on the pictures?
It's pretty close.
I imagine Tom would cover the rest.
So of the three proposals, do you have a recommendation just based upon design?
Was there one, or were all of them, one shooting towards the track that?
Yeah, they're all basically shooting in. I told them, you know, that we couldn't have any, water. Kind of my thinking is on smaller heads, where you have more heads, smaller heads, you're gonna have less water being shot up into the air, which I can see on windy days, blowing more water onto the track. The guy that's actually putting in the sprinkler system for Davis Plumbing that's working with him, he did the field at Burton, and I called,
Jeff Myers?
yeah, Josh Meyer, talked to him. He said that was put in 3 or 4 years ago, and they haven't had any problems with it. They liked it. I would say, I don't know, I think Davis Electrical is the cheapest bid, and I mean, I like that. I like the idea of having it local, but I mean, all three bids are local.
And that was the one that the heads are guaranteed for life. Did you find out what that meant?
Yeah. The guy who's putting it in said 1 year, and Davis says for life, so. I said, well, he said 1 year, and he goes, well, I sent ones in that are 3 and 4 years old, they send me new ones out, so.
Is the plan just to keep the existing grasses there, not spray any or replant grass, or?
I mean, right now, I'd just like to get a watering system. I mean, maybe, you know, part of our problem with our, I mean, we have a good stand of grass now that we've got it in the center. Part of our problem is that we mow the Bermuda too short. I mean, when they mow it, they scalp it down to 1 inch. Bermuda ought to be mowed 3.5 to 4 inches tall. And whenever you drive by there and it's kind of looking that dead yellow look, it's because it's being scalped. If we can get the mowers to where they're mowing 3.5 to 4 inches tall, the field will green up, thicken up, and do a lot better. And we can make a lot more usage of the water that we can put on the field.
Add to that a little bit, Tom, the practice field, in my opinion, needs some attention. What grass you do see out there is crabgrass, as we speak. Matter of fact, where I seeded up at the football field, I got crabgrass coming in now. There's not much you can do about that. I'm in hopes that the Bermuda does take over. Fairfield, when I went and visited and talked to them, theirs is fescue and a lot of fields are fescue. It'd be awesome to have a fescue field, but the maintenance is extremely high. They go in there and they overseed every other year, and they also go in there and bring in sand, settle in and smooth things up. And I just want to see green grass. I'll take Bermuda any day for that.
You know, this would be a good starting point, you know. Maybe next year we can talk about, I mean, the practice field is horrendous with holes and unevenness. And it's just because you have big bare spots and the dirt gets kicked out of and blowed out of them. But I mean, if we get the water put on there, you know, we can bring in some dirt, drag it around. And I mean, you know, if we're just talking a ½ inch of dirt, you know, put over this, we really won't have to raise the sprinklers any. But I mean, if a person does start talking about hauling in a major amount of dirt, you can always raise the sprinklers.
Is Carlton and GPS all of these heads so that you can walk out there and just find them?
That'd be great, but they sell a packet of red orange flags for about $6, $8, so that'll work.
I'm talking 3 years down.
Oh.
Well, hopefully you turn on the sprinkler and it pops up.
Yeah.
When they don't, you have to find them.
Do you guys have any other questions?
Well, Carl, you had a guy that you said would be good at fertilizer application.
Yeah, I mean, at the lodge we use a company from Hutch, and the lodge has used them for about 5 years now. And he's on a schedule, and it's basically maintenance free, so to speak. I mean, he comes out.
I was just thinking if you could provide that name to us, we could compare it to Pro Green, who's currently.
That was an advanced termite pest or advanced something like that.
And the guy that comes out, actually, it's his deal.
Yes.
He's in our.
Yes.
He's on, he takes great pride in his deal.
We have the contact with Advances who does our insect pest control. So,
Yeah, they do the yards too.
if there's no other questions, administration would recommend, or would ask for a motion to accept the low bid from Davis Electrical for the installation of the irrigation systems at the main field and the practice field.
Is there a stipulation on the amount of money to go towards it, or?
That would be up to the board. We're at 30% right now. If you want to stipulate more, that would require somebody to do a little more campaigning.
Are you full up?
As far as what?
Donation?
Well, I could get some more people. I haven't talked to Chad tonight yet.
Yes, you have.
I meant Tom.
Oh, okay.
If you guys would like to try to get more, we could.
Strongest budget pressures aren't in capital outlay, they're in general, honestly.
But it still helps.
It does.
Do we have a motion?
That would be what the bleachers were.
Yeah.
I'd make a motion to accept Davis Plumbing's bid to put in an underground sprinkler system for the football field and practice football field with 40% contribution through private donation.
Do we have a second?
Okay.
All right, we got a motion to accept Davis' bid with them raising 40% of the money privately. Any discussion? All in favor, right hand. 5-0.
I do have a question. So, do we need to get 40% before we tell them to do it, or just go ahead and tell them to do it?
We will hold you personally responsible for any lack.
Okay. Can I get 3 more minutes? This is, I haven't talked to Dr. Kenworthy about
We
this.
need,
Is it,
Right.
for that thing?
Yeah.
it's
this was something else that when we were up there at the football field, we kind of noticed that everybody sits on old lunchroom tables up there to eat now. And we're thinking maybe a good next fundraiser. The blue table that I've got circled, that's the same type of table that the city has up there at the Browns Park. It's a heavy metal table, and then it's basically dipped in a rubberized coating. I mean, they're super heavy duty. My thought was to try to get some of the businesses in town to donate, each business donate a table, and then maybe we could get the shop class to make a little aluminum plaque, donated by, rivet it down to the center of the table. And I'd approach Mansell Construction about maybe pouring a little concrete, if they'd be willing to donate that. And it sounds like that would be a go. So maybe after we get this, it wouldn't be any money from the school. This would all be, I guess all we'd have to do is, do we need the school's approval to, do this, or?
Yeah, not because of money issues, but just so the board approves of it.
Okay.
One other consideration, and it's probably a minor one, but we might want to make arrangements with, or find someone who has space that would let us store them in the off-season.
Where this is rubberized, I don't think it would be. Yeah, and actually there's a clamping system you can get at the bottom where they're clamped down with the concrete. You don't have to worry about people moving them around. And our recommendation would just be to clamp them down, leave them out there year round.
I got a question for you.
Yes.
You were at Russell at the track meet,
Yes.
that place where they had their stuff that had a shade over it.
Yeah,
If you're pouring concrete and doing that,
I thought that we'd have Mansell put in a footing around that concrete to where at some later point, if we wanted to have an awning built over it, it could be anchored down.
is that, I thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah,
what
me
they
too.
had there.
Yeah, it was really nice. But that was my thought. And I mean, that would be later on once we got this done. If it would be all right with the board. And then, one more thing. The electrical pole that feeds the juice into the concession stand area, the breaker box is right there. I know the, what is it, pep clip, or the booster clip?
Band
Like when they have the hamburger feed and stuff up in the shelter house, it is primarily up there because they have plug-ins for the, roasters and stuff. I looked at that pole. It'd be nice if we could drop an electrical box down with just 4 plug-ins, because I think they'd have a lot better participation if you could actually have the hamburger feed, some chili and soup stuff, right there by the concession stand, so the people have to walk there for the hill. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Todd. Thanks, Carl.
Motion to go into executive session for personnel for 15 minutes.
With self, building principles, again, and contact parents.
I'll make the motion to go into executive session for 15 minutes to discuss personnel with the building principals.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to go into executive session for 15 minutes to discuss personnel with administration, Dr. Kenworthy, and patrons as called in. So we're in executive session. So I ask everybody to step out.
Kind of shows the summer camp schedules. Just for maybe you could review what Acacia allows in terms of summer camps. Talk a bit about this.
I don't, hopefully everybody can read already. I just kind of give you, see when the team camp is relative to junior high, get their And then open gym nights, either gym. Give you an idea, all the way to August when we're redoing the floors, when we're redoing the floors, and when the first day of fall practices begin, when school starts. The Saturday preceding Memorial Day, which is the 26th, coaches in Kansas can work with their own players. They can work with any player in school. The Saturday preceding Memorial Day until this year, July 14th. So once July 14th comes, then you can no longer work with your coaching students that you coach during the school year. So that all the camps you can see all will be done by the 13th is the last camp.
And when you see open gym on there, you can't have somebody coaching, or you can't have someone who's a coach,
Coaching anything.
yeah, in there supervising the open gym. So we have our open gyms conducted. We have other staff that are not coaches that come in and do supervision for the open gyms.
This pretty much follows the schedule we've
Yeah,
had in the past.
it's very similar to what we've done in the past. There might be a couple, depending on when coaches can do, but.
What's this, do you have any idea the total number of kids that this affects, that we are working with during the summer? 60 total, 70?
Yeah, I
With
suppose
all
if you counted little kids,
little
grade,
kids
yeah,
through high
yeah,
school?
something like that'd be gross, yeah. If you count little kids.
I move the board approve the 2012 summer camp schedule as presented.
They moved and second to approve the 2012 summer camp schedules as presented. Is there any discussion? All in favor, right hand. Opposed, same sign. 6-0. 2012-13 fees.
My computer desktop, you have a file there called proposed fees for 2012. You can open that up. You can see the various fees there. We have them listed for you historically, all the way back to 0304. The main ones that we're looking at are the lunch fees. We have, other than the lunch fees, we have increased the yearbook fee a little bit over the last 5 years. We're not proposing any increase there this coming year. But breakfast and lunch, what we have done in the past is we've tried to adjust that based upon what our actual costs increasing have been. Now, the federal government, tongue-in-cheek say in their infinite wisdom, has imposed a quality formula onto this whole thing. So they look at the costs basically kind of across the nation, and there has to be sort of a minimum amount that you have to charge for lunches, or if you're not at that minimum amount, then you have to increase your lunch price by a certain amount. For example, last year it was 10 cents, and for us this year we'll have to do it another 10 cents. That doesn't reflect, this is going to sound bad, but it doesn't reflect our actual cost increases. But we're required to increase what that is so that we, the gap between what they reimburse us and what we charge is big enough. They don't want that gap to get too small. I think their fear is at the federal level at some point they could be reimbursing us for more than what we're charging for the meals. I don't know that for sure, but that's what the formula looks like when you have to plug in the numbers. So we have increased each of ours by 10 cents. So that's what we're looking at. So K-12 breakfast would go from $150 to $160. An adult guest breakfast $185 to $195. No cost would stay the same. It's not affected by this formula. And then lunch prices, K4 would go from $210 to $220. Grades 5 to 12 from $230 to $240. and adult guests from 3:10 to 3:20. Questions that you have?
What's the purpose of reduction on grade 5 and 6?
5 and 6. Or you mean the difference between K4 and 512?
No, you went down $5 on grades 5 and 6 from 11, 12 to 12, 13.
Probably a typo. I'm still not seeing it. Oh, yeah, that's just a typo.
Book fees, how about book fees?
Book fees, yeah.
Typo.
Yeah, that's a typo. It's supposed to be the same.
Third one down.
Yeah, it should be 55, just like it has been. Thank you for catching that.
I do have a question that doesn't have anything to do with the prices that maybe we can put on another agenda for the meeting. An explanation of what the lunch program entails. I've heard horror stories of kids not being able to get enough food and they're not allowed to back for seconds. Stuff like that.
Mac, yes, we can do that at a different meeting, and I can give you a kind of a thumbnail sketch on it. We used to do seconds, and we were going to get ourselves in trouble again with the federal requirements for nutrition for a meal. They do meal analysis. Periodically, they'll come out and do an audit of our menus and what we serve to the kids, and you have to be within certain ranges on sodium and fat and total calories and things like that. So what we're able to serve the kids, that's why we had to discontinue the seconds, because we were getting cited for non-compliance with those requirements. So if you have a high school kid who is involved in sports and is a pretty active kid, quite honestly, the meal might be not enough to keep him going to the end of the day. But we're restricted on what that can be by both the state and the federal requirements for that. And there's going to be some additional changes in that for this coming year. They've really kind of ratcheted up some of the requirements on that. So there'll be reductions, for example, in the amount of white flour products, like our rolls. We've already been transitioning to where we've had more and more whole wheat in our rolls. They'll have to go to having more vegetables of different varieties, different ones, and we know kids will eat some of the ones we serve, but we're going to have to start serving ones that we know they won't eat, which doesn't make sense. And fruit and some things like that. So also, the current program is what we call an offer program, where as the students come down the line, the cafeteria workers can offer whatever the item is to the kid, and the kid can say, yeah, I'll take that, or no, I don't want that. Now it's not an offer, you have to take it. And so, again, there's going to be some inefficiency and waste that occurs, because you're going to be serving things to kids that the kids aren't going to eat. So, but again, those are all part of the federal program, and if you want to get the reimbursements, you have to play by the rules. So, but we can do a further explanation if we need in the future. If that was adequate.
That covers it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
I move that the board approve the 2012-2013 fees as presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the 2012-2013 fees as presented. Is there any discussion? All in favor, right hand. Pose same sign, 6-0. Summer maintenance projects.
Just quickly, these are some of the items that we're looking at for summer. I feel like need probably the most attention. We have made some renovations in the art room. We lowered the ceiling in there, and we're going to be putting in some corkboard, putting up displays. The floor in there, the tile floor in there definitely needs to be replaced. It's in really sad shape. So that's one of the projects that we would suggest. Also the carpet in the band room, and we still have plans for replacing the carpet in the auditorium. a project that we've looked at for probably about 2 years, and we may have schedule-wise the ability to do it this summer, would be to replace the lights in the south gym with the same type of lights that we have in the north gym. The lights that are in the south gym are called high bay lights. They are not instant on, instant off. They're not as efficient as the type of fluorescence that we have in the north gym, which are instant on and instant off. And so we would look at replacing those. It will make the gym brighter. And when we did it in the north gym, it paid for itself in about 2.5 years with energy savings. And then finally, we're still waiting for a proposal for replacement of the air conditioning system in the library. We thought we would have that by now, but we don't. So if we don't get it fairly soon, that may be a project that has to be looked at for the following summer, just because we'll be in the middle of summer, we can't really take that on. So, and then we'll have a number of more minor type things, like we're replacing bathroom stall petitions, elementary bathrooms. We'll take a look at putting electrical outlets on the pole at the track, and just other minor type painting and upkeep kind of things around the building.
Who decides? Are you basically the main decision maker on what gets done for the big maintenance or the small maintenance?
Well, usually for the big stuff. And we try to run that stuff by the board, not necessarily that the board has to make a decision, but like when we do the capital outlay review, so you see the things we're talking about.
What about the small stuff?
Day-to-day maintenance stuff.
You know, stuff that needs to be done around the side. I know we talked about sometimes putting dirt up against the building, so we wouldn't have so much trouble there.
Yep, those would be decisions that would come from the superintendent's office. So.
Who's the extra help in summer?
Last summer, our plan to do that again is to hire Sandra Davis as the extra help in the rooms. We have in the past hired Ingrid Saylor to do some painting stuff for us. Like if we take care of doing that, so we'll just kind of have to see how that goes.
Any other questions? We'll move on to number 5, approving KASB dues.
Do you have those, Gianna, or do I take those? Dues?
I tucked them back in the folder in my office because I thought you had made copies.
I have, yeah, I did. Let me see. I do, I have. All right. Every year we have dues to KASB. These dues cover both just general membership, which is based upon our student enrollment. We have categories and a formula that they do for that. And then also, there's an assessment we have for legal assistance. And so, be our recommendation that the board would approve those. The total for those is about $4,633. I don't think there are any school districts in the state that don't operate with KASB and provide great services for us in terms of legal questions we have, as well as policy development. Also, they're available anytime you want to do something in terms of a workshop or a conference, helping with various political issues you might have in your district. So it'd be my recommendation, and we continue to work with them.
Mr. President, I move we approve the KSB 2012-2013.
Second.
Moving second to approve the KASB dues for 2012-13 school year. Is there any discussion? All in favor, right hand. Opposed, same sign. 6-0. Early calendar dismissal.
Mr. President and board members, as a result of the relatively mild winter, we only used about a day and a quarter of the days that we had designated in the calendar for snow days. I think a year or two ago, we had sort of a similar situation where we only used one day, and just as kind of a nice gesture, kind of a goodwill thing, we excused one day early. Our main concern is that we have to have our 1,116 hours. We could excuse one day early and still have enough hours to cover that. So it would be our recommendation that we remove the last day of school from May 17th to May 16th. And we would communicate that out to parents, newsletters, and using our calling system, putting it on our webpage, things like that.
I move the board approves closing the 2011-12 school year one day early.
Been moved and second to approve closing the school year one day earlier to May 16th instead of May 17th. Is there any discussion?
Does the seniors get out a day early today?
Problem, and here, there is a rational reason for it. They have an hour number that they have to hit as well. I think theirs is 1,086. If the state says they have to be in session, because virtually across the state, all seniors get out early. It's just how much early. And so they finally said, we have to establish an amount, because you would have some districts where the seniors are getting out 2 weeks before school is out, things like that. So, yeah, we can't mess with that one.
All in favor, right hand. Opposed, same sign. 6-0.
Say that a little loud.
It's on camera.
Okay. Add the agenda items. Okay, we're ready for board member activities and reports. Sam?
I went to the special ed co-op meeting, however long ago that was, it seems like a year or two. And they had a presentation on, and of course I didn't bring the papers that I set out to keep me, but on kids and getting jobs in the community. And I didn't know a lot of that went on in all the different types of jobs that they have done. And the example they kept bringing up all the time was Dylan's, on how well they have worked with kids to give them opportunities to have a real job and do things. And they gave examples of kids that have went on and are basically working for Dylan's full-time and everything, and I thought that was a really good program.
Good. Thanks for attending that one.
You're welcome.
Carolyn?
Attended PDC meeting, but I don't know if there's anything out of the ordinary to report. Some development going on. We're in common core standards. I'm probably forgetting some of the other major things, but certainly out next year's agenda.
Thank you. Tom?
I don't have anything.
I'd like to thank the National Honor Society for inviting us to the luncheon. That was very nice. And, we have a lot of kids that are doing very well. There were a lot of attending that luncheon, so it's impressive in the park.
Administrative reports. Start with the high school principal this time.
Set sheet in there, should have enrollment numbers. I believe the enrollment numbers is right where it was last month, 52, 7 through 12. Mentioned a little bit about the large group music, it's been a while since we had our last meeting. We've had large group music, mentioned that, kids did well there. I mentioned about the dessert concert that we did last week with the students and Ms. Taylor. I just mentioned about the honors luncheon, which we held last Wednesday, and the weather was cooperative, it was nice and square. We held baccalaureate tonight. Ministerial Alliance did a good job with that. Class night is next Thursday, the 17th, starting at 7. For all of you who are planning to attend, you're welcome to come to that. High school activities banquet, the Booster Club puts on, is next Tuesday on the 15th, 6:30, in the North Gym. We had our CPL League Art Contest on the 26th. I put some students and what they awards they got at that. I believe we took 15 kids, I believe. I don't know exactly, the things I put in there is what I got from Mrs. Vinky. I can't expand too much because I'm not sure exactly what those mean or what they are, to be quite honest with you, but the kids did well. We're doing some pre-enrollment stuff to get ready for next year, so we'll be finishing that up. Schedules, class names, going over that with students. And you do not have a copy of the activity count at your places, so just ignore number 9 there. Okay. I gave you a folder. It's like a little envelope, I should say, in a folder. It has graduation information. You can do that you like. I have a diagram in there. There's a program in there, along with a list of the seniors. You can look that over. If you have questions, feel free to holler, come by the school. I think, just give you an idea kind of what how the diagram, because last year we kind of changed it a little bit, how we, the stage and everything. So if you go through that, you don't have to, you can kind of go through it at your leisure and holler if you have any questions, and I'll go over things with you on the 19th too, when you get there before we start. So I just wanted to give you that information. You can do with it what you please, but it's there if you have any questions. Next.
Thank you. Mrs. Seekins.
And I believe you have my report on your desktops.
Actually, I have a hard copy.
Oh, hard copy, okay. We did add 2 new students to the elementary school this week, kindergartner and a 2nd grader. Bringing our K-6 total up to 155. Items and events of interest. We've had a lot going on this spring in the elementary school. We did conclude our state assessment testing. Preschool screening at St. John, we had about 38 children participate in our pre-K screening. On the subject of early education, Tiger Tots concluded for this year. Had an event on Tuesday that was funded by a grant from the Golden Belt Community Foundation. It was well attended and a lot of fun. Dr. Ken Ruby was one of our guest readers, and the children enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, and I think that it was good. Tiger Tots has been run by volunteers this year with the help of the library staff, and I'm very proud that we were able to keep that program going with the help of volunteers. This month, we have sent over 1,300 new books home to kids in our school through the help of a program called First Book that helps provide new high-quality books to students to help promote literacy. Family Wellness Night was a lot of fun. We had about 100 participate, which was well above what we had hoped for the first time. Beautiful evening. Good supper. It was a lot of fun. Drop everything and read. This is the one thing we didn't get the weather we ordered for. We had to do that in the old gym. It was a little bit loud, not really conducive to reading, but we had good participation. Hopefully next year the weather will be nice. It'll be a lot more fun to do it out in the spring. Kindergarten Roundup. We had 30 signed up to come through Roundup. 26 students participated. 5th and 6th grade concert was very energetic. That was a lot of fun, rock and roll concert for those of you that were there. And one of my office doors was right against the stage, so I was singing several weeks when they were practicing for that. So anyway, DARE graduation, and I thought there was a very nice article in the paper about DARE graduation. I'm proud of our fifth graders there. And yes, honors luncheon was May 2nd. Elementary track meet is Friday. And you know what? I bet we'd find a place for volunteers if someone hasn't volunteered and would like to. Holler at me or Miss Reason and we will find you a spot. And if you just want to be happy and smile Friday afternoon, come down to the track and watch. It is, it will just make you smile. It's a lot of fun. Also coming up, we will have orientation for next year's fifth graders, kind of the middle school orientation, and this year's sixth graders will go through an orientation to help prepare them for the move to junior high next year. So we'll get that taken care of.
You might help me remember, 155 students in grade school is up over the course of the year, isn't it?
We've kind of really held steady.
100, well, this isn't perfect notes, but I was looking back at 148. I don't know if that is what we count, you know, the September 22nd count or whatever. I'm totally processing funding and how we may be next year compared to this year. If our enrollment, it might be inching up a little bit.
It could be, and again, it's I have a lot of speculation at this point, but I'm anticipating the loss of 3 of this year's fifth graders, so that'd be down 3 in that class. You know, I'm anticipating a family moving that'll take 2 more out of the elementary school. So I know there are some families moving. So I'm looking, again, firm at a loss of 5 due to moving over the summer. And, you know, it's all, we just speculate about all this, but that's what I know.
Okay.
And we can give you, at the June meeting, hopefully, if the legislature has settled on funding, we can give you a better idea and have some projections on those numbers. One of the things that you have to remember is our funding is based upon the FTE number of students that we have, and they like to have 3-year averaging. So you can either take the current year, the previous year, or the average of the last 3 years. Right now, our actual head count is, I think, 305.6, something like that. And what we're actually funded on is about 318 because of the 3-year averaging. So even if we were to, we would have to jump up at least 13 to be able to use the actual year's enrollment. So, but maybe it could be we could get more than that too. So, but anything that's trending up is good. So, because it slows down that 3-year drop. So.
Dr. Kenley, your report?
I had just a couple of things. We're in the process, we've had a contract for soft drinks. I'm not exactly sure how we got into this contract originally because school districts actually aren't supposed to enter into 10-year contracts, but we were in a 10-year contract, so, but we are now out of it. And so we have requested bids from Pepsi and Coke for what they would charge us for product and things like that. So we're still looking at the numbers, but we'll talk to you in June about it and probably have at that time a recommendation for which direction to go. I can give you a little hint that it looks like at this point probably Coke is going to come out to be a better deal. So any Coke drinkers out there or Pepsi drinkers, if you want to lobby your board member, you have a month to do that. So.
Is that for like people questions or stuff like that?
Yeah. It's for that, it's for anything that we might sell out of vending machines, although they've changed the federal requirements on that. This all ties in with that food service stuff also. Basically, the only thing we can vend, if we were to do it, is water and some of the sports drinks, a few of the sports drinks. And the restrictions on that are pretty high. We do have a pop machine in the teacher's lounge that, I'm not actually sure who owns that machine, whether it belongs to Pepsi or not, but the teachers, Mr. Smith, kind of keeps track of that, makes sure it gets filled and stuff like that. And they use that for various projects. So that kind of operates separate, it's outside of our contract. So it could be they can still maintain that one, we just have to see. And also, kind of an update, at the February board meeting, you approved the purchase of a new Suburban. And they told us it would be about 6 to 8 weeks to receive it. So we've gone about 6 weeks, and I called them, and they lost our order. And so they were very apologetic. They said they had the fax transmittal, so they knew it came in, but they weren't sure what happened to it after that. But they have agreed to sell us a 2013 Suburban off the same pricing that the 2012 contracts were state. So it will be delayed a little bit getting here, but we'll actually get a new vehicle in the process. So. And then finally, at your place is the financial statement showing all the various funds. One thing I would point out on there, the fund ID for 8 supplemental general, which we also call the LOB, it's showing an unencumbered balance of $69,000. And tell me again, what's
About
that?
200,000.
Yeah, we get about 200,000 in as our last and final payment, usually about mid-June, I think. So
It'll be the first week of June.
first week. So we put that in there. We're looking like it's going to be a tight close, as we've had for a number of years now, but we're on track. So questions about any of those?
ID number 53. Have we not spent anything out of that line this year?
What we usually try to do is, if you'll remember, you passed a resolution to pay the September payroll, or at least a part of it out of there. We make all of those transfers at the end so that we don't have to put things in and back things out, put things in and back things out. The reason is, what you authorized us to do was to spend that down to 60% of what it is. If we were to take a dollar amount out of there and then later find out we had to take something else out of contingency, such as the additional first grade position, we don't want to take more out than what that would drop us below 60%. We're trying to maintain it as we can. So, but we will make all those final transfers and adjustments at the June meeting. So, well, actually, in the past we've had a special meeting to do that. So.
Well, executive session now. First one, administration.
Mr. President, I'm going to go into executive session for 20 minutes to discuss personnel with administration about 10 minutes.
Second. Been moved and seconded to go into executive session for discussion of personnel, 20 minutes, administration about 10 minutes, all in favor, right hand.
I would entertain a motion to approve the supplemental list as presented and edited.
So moved.
Been moved and seconded to approve the supplemental list as approved and edited. Is there any discussion? All in favor, right hand. Opposed, same sign. 6-0. Yea or nay?
Nay.
Nays. Excuse me, 5-1. Is there future agenda items?
We will be having a special meeting on May 16th at 8 o'clock. It will be executive session only, there will be no business items.
Okay. We have that down on our calendar. Could you send out
It's, notice.
notes
Yeah.
or text us or something? I appreciate that. Any other items? Entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
We move second to your all in favor. 6-0.